What's up, everybody? Martha Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 12. Today's title is Battle Royal, and we look on the cover today and we have Electro, and he looks pretty pissed off. Wonder why. Well, we recall from last issue how basically Spider-Man snuck into the security room. He's trying to steal some DVD disc, and that will give um, pretty good proof that Kingpin is a criminal, as well as how he murdered Frederick Foswell. But now Spider Man has to deal with not only Electro, but also the Enforcers as well. And so, can Spider Man escape without getting beat up like last time and getting his mask taken off? So, we see here that Spider Man is dodging the Electro's blast here, the electric blast, as well as gunfire, and also Montana's rope. I mean, Spider-Man has a lot to dodge here. Can he make it out alive here? We see here that Spider-Man webs up the hands of Dan, and then we see that Electro continues to throw electric bolts at Spider-Man. This is one action-packed story, I have to say. We see then that the Ox grabs a hold of Spider-Man's leg and smashes him twice into this security equipment with big smash here, as we can see. And then we see that Electro definitely wants to fry Spider-Man to death, and nothing's really preventing that from happening except for Ox. As we see, Ox says, let's just bring the kid back to the Kingpin and let Kingpin finish him off. So they're bickering back and forth, Ox and Electro, when all of a sudden we see that Spider-Man was playing possum. He basically kicks Electro and Montana. It really angers Electro here, and he accidentally strikes Ox instead of Spider-Man, so Ox goes down for the count. Then we see that, and once again, so much action taking place right here. It's kind of hard to demonstrate exactly what's going on, but we see here that Spider-Man's able to take care of the Enforcers, and now it's just up to Spider-Man to take down Electro. And we see that there's a lot of joking going back with and forth with Spider-Man and Electro, mainly Spider-Man making the jokes here, saying, "Are you a mutant?" And then Electro says, "Are you?" Spider-Man says, "I asked you first." And then Electro says, "Well, I'm not." And so then Spider-Man says, "Look, I'll tell you how I gain my abilities if you tell me how you gain your powers." And Electro's just not going to fess up here. And so we see that he's going to then try to uh, basically threaten the life of Spider-Man by saying, once I figure out who you really are, then I'm coming after your parents or your family. So that angers Spider-Man. We see then Spider-Man breaks this levee, causing a bunch of water to come out through these pipes, and it short circuits Electro's power here, causing basically Electro and the Enforcers to be electrocuted. It doesn't kill them, but it knocks them out. And so Spider-Man was successful for the first time in taking down these four supervillains on his own. And then he tells Ox to basically go to the police or the FBI or anybody and just confess to them that Kingpin is up to no good and that he is a criminal or else. And then we see here that he says, "Yeah, okay." And so we see that Spider-Man confidently walks out of the room and he's making his way towards the exit when all of a sudden he is stopped by none other than Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, and he asks Spider-Man, "Who are you working for?" But we see that Spider-Man is not going to confess that information, and instead he pulls out some note cards, and this gets pretty funny. He gives basically these fat jokes towards the Kingpin, angering Kingpin even more. First one is, "You are so fat that when you cut yourself shaving, marshmallow fluff comes out." This crazy stuff here. And one after the other of just these insults towards the Kingpin, causing the Kingpin to go into full rage mode. He's running after Spider-Man full speed. He crashes into the wall. Spider-Man dodges the Kingpin and is then going to web the Kingpin's fist to this wall. And then on top of that, of just basically making fun of Kingpin, and right to his face, he then webs Kingpin's face. Kingpin then breaks loose, trying to get that webbing off of his face, but by the time he does, Spider Man has escaped. And so now Kingpin has to worry about what Spider Man will do with all that proof, all that information he has with those DVD sets. So we see that Spider Man makes it back to his home. He undresses now, and he's now Peter Parker. He's trying to find that one DVD that has that information about basically Spider Man being unmasked. He found it and breaks the disc. And so now people will not have any proof of who Spider Man is. So he has all of these DVD discs, and he now knows that Kingpin was responsible for killing Frederick Foswell, who was the big man, boss man of the Enforcers. And so now, as we see, Ben Ulrich, who works for the Daily Bugle, has primitive proof here of Kingpin killing Frederick Foswell, as Peter Parker put those discs on, basically the box of discs on Ben Ulrich's desk here. But he didn't know it was Peter Parker who put that down. And there's this note basically saying, enclosed you will find all kinds of goodies against the Kingpin. I've marked a couple of discs that should be really interesting. And so Ben Ulrich goes to J. Jonah Jameson's office and gives him this added information here. And then, just Peter Parker is smiling. He knows exactly that Kingpin has been caught red handed. We see then that Peter Parker is going to call Mary Jane. And he says, "Are you still mad at me?" And she says, "No." And then he basically says, "What are you doing after school tomorrow?" And she said, "Nothing." And so he says, "Will you come over then? I have something really important to tell you." He doesn't say exactly what he's going to tell her, but she says, "Okay." And so I wonder what Peter Parker is going to tell Mary Jane in the next issue. We'll soon find out. And we see that then J. Jonah Jameson is alerting Joe Robertson to get in here, as there's good news. As then the next day, there's a newspaper in the Daily Bugle saying that Kingpin of Crime caught red-handed on tape whereabouts is unknown. So now Kingpin's reading this newspaper, and now his lawyer is basically saying, "Look, I can fix this, no problem. Just give me some time." And so that's how we end this issue. I hope you liked it. And next time we'll be looking at issue number 13. How in the world is Kingpin going to get out of this situation, as well as what is Peter Parker going to tell Mary Jane? We'll find all that out coming up next in issue number 13. I hope to see you then. And until next time, keep reading comics.